All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RULEWELL. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is, Don't Worry, the Lord Will Avenge Us. Before I go into the lesson, I just want to say that my msinfodocchannel12 got struck again for an old ass video, so I can't upload on there or do anything live or anything on there till the end of March, as they said. I mean, I appealed it, but they denied my appeals before, but I still appealed it anyway. But so what you're looking at in front of you right now is msinfodocchannel13, which brothers have been subscribing to it, but they keep taking my subscribers off, because I believe yesterday had over 480 something subscribers, and then earlier today I was looking at it, and it was like 471. Now, as you can see, it's down to now it went back up to 474. But brothers keep subscribing, and then these devils keep taking them off. And like Elder Sakaran's page, GMS Gallows on the Streets, we've been trying to get his page to 1,000, but every time he gets past like 980 subscribers, they knock them back down to 980. So they're making it nearly impossible to get those 1,000 subscribers to go live on these different channels. But it doesn't matter anyway. We're gonna give it a shot anyway. So just wanted to let you know that msinfodocchannel11 as of now is suspended. I got another strike today for an old video, but nevertheless, it is what it is. The name of the lesson, as I said, is Don't Worry, the Lord Will Avenge Us. And pretty much what you see going on today in the news and the media is pretty much the deception that Esau is pushing to demonize us, because he's trying to launch an attack against us. So what he has to do is he has to demonize us first, and then cause certain false flags to happen so that he could try to blame it on us, so that he'll be justified in rolling when he does. Because Esau is not a spiritual man, he is a carnal man, and he will eventually get physical, because the scriptures tell us that he will get physical. So we that know this, we shouldn't be worried about this devil, because the Lord is going to avenge us. Remember, the scriptures say, when the enemy shall... matter of fact, let me get that real quick, and then I'll read this other precept. Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 19. It says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, which is happening right now. And Esau is getting very uncomfortable with the fact that the Israelites are waking up, and it's glory from the rising of the sun, because the word is going out throughout the whole planet. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, meaning when they come in with their troops like a flood, like they did during the time of 70 AD, like they did, like the Babylonians did during the time of the Babylonian Empire, like the Greeks did, and the Roman, like all these different nations did, to us. But this time, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, shall lift up a standard against him. So the Lord is going to cause something to happen to where Esau's going to have to back the fuck up, Excuse my medieval French or Finnish. So let's go to Revelation 2:10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer, because the key point here is suffering. Yahawashi said through the mouth of Peter, I believe it was, he said, he that has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. And this is why we're going through the sufferings that we go through, because it's a purging that's taking place. The Lord is purging us of our iniquities. So when the time of destruction comes, we won't be condemned with the world, because the world is already condemned. The whole world lies in wickedness. Yahawashi spoke against the deeds of the world, that they were wicked. We speak about the deeds of the world, that they're wicked. And for that we get persecuted, because we're in a time of great deceit. But the truth is out there shining the light, on this deceit, and they're getting upset, they get mad. But there's nothing they could do about it. The only thing they could do is get physical, and when they get physical, the Lord said that he will lift up a standard against them. So it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that he may be tried. That you may be tried. And you shall have tribulation 10 days, meaning for a certain period of time, these devils will have their way. It says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Because the scripture says, strive for the truth unto death. And the Lord will give us a crown of life. And this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for that crown of life, which that crown of life pretty much is eternal life. You know, the eternal life that YAHAWASHI promised, you know, his elect. You know, and then eventually the rest of the 2/3 and the rest of the Israelites that don't make it this go around will come back later. That's why it says, blessed is he that partakes in the first resurrection. Upon such the second death has no power. So the other Israelites will make it, but they'll have to suffer this wrath of the indignation of the Most High, which is a cup of the wine of the fury of the Lord. You know, and although they're coming back, I know I don't want to suffer that, you know, and I'm pretty sure other brothers don't want to suffer that. We want to make it on the first try, you know. So the Lord said that we're going to be persecuted, we're going to be thrown in prisons, you know, and we're going to be tried. And the Lord said to be faithful unto death, and he will give us a crown of life. And that's what we're waiting for, you know. So the Lord is going to deal with our enemies, because as I was reading through the book of Esther, I just kept thinking in my mind of how these Amalekites today are pretty much doing the same thing and persecuting the Israelites. Back then he was persecuting the Israelites, but why was he persecuting the Israelites? Because you had Mordecai, who would not bow to his will. YAHAWASHI, through the mouth of the Apostle Paul, said that, you know, I have reserved to myself 7,000 men that have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. You know, so the men of the Lord will not bow to the will of Esau. The elect will not bow to the will of Esau. So since they're not going to bow to the will of Esau, what's going to happen? Some of them are going to have to suffer this persecution. Some of them are going to have to be put to death. You know, and this is what's happening. You know, they're angry and they're aggravated because they're in the power seat. You got to remember, Haman was the top man underneath Ahasuerus. You know, he was like up in the top echelon of them devils. What should I say, of the Persian Empire back then. Just like Amalek today is in the leadership position over the whole world. You know, they've squirmed and worked their way into every crevice, you know, of this world. They wiggled and they wormed their way in there. They snaked their way in there. You know, they cheated, robbed, lied, murdered, raped, till they finally got themselves in this position of power. And now that they have the power, anybody that speaks against them, they want to put them to death. Like the old saying, you know, which is more modern. We thought it went back to Voltaire, but it's more modern. You know, you want to know who's in charge, find out who you can't speak against. And that's a very good saying. And this is why the persecution is so heavy on us, you know, and they're trying to put, you know, that we're a hate group that just goes around just doing random shit to them Amalekites. You know, there's a situation now. A brother sent me a article earlier, or a video, where this Edomite vandalized a synagogue. I believe it was in Pennsylvania, and they chased this dude down. They with tenacity, I mean with fervent fire, they chased this guy down and got him all the way in Hawaii, and brought him and extradited him back to, I believe they're bringing him to California to stand charges. But you see the ferocity, which I believe that was all set up. But the point is that if you commit a crime against them, just like Cain, you know, 7 times more hell would come upon an individual than would come upon any of them that would commit a crime against us. Do you think they will have that sense of urgency and that sense of that fervent spirit and desire and tenacity to chase after someone that committed a crime against a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American Indian? You think they will go to those extremes to find this individual? I don't think so. And like I said, I believe it was all set up, because that's what one thing about Amalek, they have to create situations to make it seem like they're such an oppressed people. But here it is, we don't have to try. We are an oppressed people. And we're constantly being oppressed. And we don't try. We don't have to fake it. We don't have to fake the funk to have, people say, well, man, do you see what's really happening to the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians? We're suffering it, period. We're suffering it, period. So let's get into it. I see Elder Yahawah was already on it. That was the first scripture I was going to start off with in Esther, the third chapter. In the first verse, it says, after these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which the Agagites go back to who? King Agag, which was an Amalekite, who came against Israel back then. And the Lord told Saul to destroy all of them Amalekites and them Edomites, but he disobeyed the Lord. Therefore, the Lord removed him from his position, and he allowed this devil, the Agagite, the king Agag, to live. And what Samuel did was he hewed him into pieces. So this hatred of old is still embedded within these Edomites, especially those Amalekites, them so-called Jews, as they like to call themselves. So it says, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. So pretty much he was the second in command underneath King Ahasuerus in the Medo-Persian Empire. And when we read the rest of the books of Esther in the Apocrypha, it pretty much said that all that Haman was doing was he was trying to advance himself within the kingdom of the Medo-Persians so that they could transplant themselves and take over themselves. Because he was also called a Macedonian. And if you know anything about Macedonia, I believe that's the first place that Esau, when he got loose from Judah back in the 900s into the 800s, BC, I believe that was one of the first strongholds of Europe that them devils took over, because that's where you had Philip of Macedon, which was Alexander's father. Then you had Alexander the Crete, and under Alexander the Crete, that's where they unified the kingdom and took over the known world and brought all the different nations under what was called Hellenization. And I believe, that was the very beginning stages of Esau taking over the world. That was the first stronghold that they took over, was Macedon. So it says, reading on, so this devil, Haman, his whole time, that's what he was plotting for. It says, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him, but Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. So seeing that he has that great authority, as they have today, and here it is, you have this man, which is a representation symbolically of the Hebrew Israelites today, that are not bound to the will of Amalek or the Edomites. He has to take this individual and make an example of him, similar to what the king did, but even worse with Vashti when she popped off at the king, and what he did, he had to sit her ass down somewhere. So pretty much, right, that's right, it backfired. But pretty much what happens is that all of this persecution and these letters that were written to the 127 provinces and the assault that was about to take place against, the Israelites was quelled. And it happened that instead of the Israelites being the ones that were put to death on the very gallows that they created, they were the ones that were in turn put on those gallows and put to death. And that just shows you the magnificence and the power and the tender mercies of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, because he knows everything. That's why he said, when an enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. I'm going to read a couple of these precepts that brothers put on. Shalawam to the elder and the elders and the ahchyam on the comment board. And if there's any akhwath, This is Sharath, Exodus 17:16. For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And it's still happening to this day. And that whole situation out there in Jersey, you know, from what we understand now, it was centered really around these gutter rats that were trying to force Jake, you know, to sell, and they are constantly oppressing Jake, you know. So according to the true story, as is coming out, that's the reason why that whole thing went down. But anyway, Eldai Inap, GMSI Salve, Numbers 24:20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations. Now this is twofold. They were first of the nations that had war with us, but they're also first of the nations as far as, you know, they're the top of, you know, they're the top of the pyramid, so to speak, right now. They're at the top. It says, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever, because eventually they're going to perish forever. You know, and this is an example of what happens to the people that come against the people of the Lord, because the Lord said that he that toucheth you touches the apple of my eye. You know, so the Lord has a, you know, even though we're all messed up and the Lord was angry with us and we came to this low condition, we have a special place in the Most High's heart. And as fucked up as we are, you know, we have a special place in the Most High's heart, and anyone that fucks with us, the Lord's gonna fuck with them. So because we don't have the power to do anything. All we have the power to do is just speak the words of Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai and let the Lord do his thing when he's ready. It says, then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandments? So you had other nations that were there, and they're, yo, man, what's wrong with you, man? Well, how come you don't bow to Haman, man? Don't you know that he's a second in command underneath Ahasuerus, man? Do you know that they're gonna deal with you, man, if you don't, you know, if you don't get down with this thing, man? You know? It says, now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And he did this on purpose. This was a surgical strike. Salakia, this was a surgical strike because he set the whole thing up to where he withstood Haman. He ain't gonna bow to Haman, and also told him that he was a Jew, because his niece which was Esther, she was inside of the king's favor. You know, she was the queen at the time, but he told his daughter, well, she was like a daughter to him, his niece, don't tell him who your people are. Why? Because that was going to be an ace in the hole for later on. And this is the reason why Queen Esther was put in that position to bestow favor upon the nation of Israel, so that the enemies of Israel could not get a foothold, you know, over us. So it says, and when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. So this devil was angry. And these Amalekites today, they're angry as hell too. Because they're like, how dare we, you know, the Israelites, which they look at us as niggas, big spooks, wetbacks, tontos, and all that. How dare you not pay reverence to me? How dare you magnify yourself over me? You know, and this has been, you know, the attitude of these devils for the longest, you know. But the Lord is doing a marvelous work, because he's allowing them to do the things that he's doing, but eventually it's all gonna backfire on them. That's what the Lord said. You know, you did all these different things. You persecuted your brother and all that, and I didn't do anything to you, so you thought I was down with you. But I'm going to reprove you and set them in order before your face. And they're being reproved of the Lord by the mouth of the prophets. And that's us out there speaking. It says, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. And it's funny, because they're doing the same thing now, these Amalekites, but they're acting like they're us. And do you remember what happened towards the end of the story, how the people were so afraid because of what happened to Haman and his sons, that they all did what? They all converted to being Jews, but they're not Jews. Just because you convert to somebody's religion or so or so doesn't make you that. Just like John Hyrcanus the first, who forcibly converted those Edomites back then, which is where you get Antipater and you get the Herodian dynasty from that forcible conversion. But they were not Israelites. They were just Jews by conversion, but they weren't really bloodline Israelites. And the same way that they brought persecution against the real Israelites back then during the Herodian dynasty is the same way that they did with Haman and these devils back then. Is the same shit they're doing today. There's nothing has changed. Everything is the same. And this is why the term history repeats itself is so important, because the reason why it repeats itself is because the people that are here now were here before through a thing called reincarnation. But when we speak about reincarnation, we're looked at as crazies, you know, that's an Eastern religion doctrine, you know, that's a pagan doctrine. No, it's not. There's nothing pagan about the reincarnation. All reincarnation means back in the flesh. What goes back into the flesh? The spirit. The spirit never changes. The flesh is what changes, but the spirit never changes. And that's why you'll have somebody that you never met, and you be cool as hell with them. Like, damn, I feel like I know you forever. Or a chick you might meet, I feel like I know you forever, because chances are you did know each other. Same way that you'll meet somebody and you never talk to the person, none, but just this animosity between the two of you. Because there was something that went down. One of you did wrong to the other in the past. And that's when we meet certain people, they were the ones that killed the prophets in the past. And that's what is that animosity and that tension. Because reincarnation is real. So this is why they're doing the same thing, because the spirit of Esau, the Edomites, that spirit that was in Cain, is the same spirit that's in these Amalekites today and these other Edomites. But especially those Amalekites who are the synagogue of Satan. They're the chief house of Satan. It says, in the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast Pur, which the word Pur is from the Hebrew word Pawar. The plural of that is Pawaryum, which in the English is Purim, which means lots, because they had cast lots against the children of Israel to destroy them. That is the lot before Haman from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. So you have to remember that this is something that took time to plot. This ain't something that happened overnight. This is the same thing they're doing right now. They're launching an assault on us, but it's taking time because they have to they have to create certain situations. So now that the case is built, what are they doing? They're pushing out, okay, this happened. The black Hebrew Israelites, they did this. This Latino guy, he did this to anti-Semitic. That's what they're doing. So that they can have the excuse to roll on us. Now, all of a sudden, they have a special task force just to deal with the Hebrew Israelites. How convenient. You know? But they have to plant shit and say shit and lie and slander because they can't find nothing. Because all we doing is teaching the words of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. And these devils don't like it. It says, and Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people. So now this devil, this Amalekite, this Edomite, this Idumean, this gutter rat went to the king and brought an accusation against the people of the Lord. There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom. And that's the same thing now. All throughout America, you got all these different camps, these black Hebrew Israelites, you know, and they're the scum of the earth, and they're just pieces of shit. They're anti-Semitic, they're low lives, they're this, they're that, the other. And around the world, for what? So that somebody can do something about it. And even in Vocab's one of the videos he did, the person said, yeah, there's legislation they're going to be soon they'll be legislated off the streets, you know, and off of these different social media platforms, in so many words. But that's all right, because this is all part of the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And their laws are diverse from all people. Yeah, they're just nasty. They're just pieces of dog shit. Somebody should do something about it. And what the Lord said, that they shall go into the gates of the nobles. It says, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them, right? Because we don't keep these devil's laws. I mean, we keep the laws as far as we don't go and just blatantly commit crimes. But if they say, you have to take this microchip, fuck you. You have to eat pork, fuck you. Anything that goes against the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, we're not going to go for. But, you still have to pay your taxes. You still have to have a license. You still have to, do whatever, do the render unto Caesar the things of the Caesars, and unto the Most High the things of the Most Highs. And the Most High said, you shall have no other God before me. So Mordecai said, man, fuck you. I ain't bowing to you. My power is Yahweh. Who the hell are you? It said, if it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. So what was it? It was put into a law, signed by the king, signed by the king's ring. You see? So they put it into law, which they're doing now. They're writing laws that you can't say certain things about. It's going to come a point where you can't even look at these devils. It's going to... Hey, he looked at me. Anti-Semitism. He looked at me the wrong way. I saw him cut his eye at me. Telling you, these motherfuckers don't play, man. But the Most High is going to crush these motherfuckers, man. Excuse my Sanskrit. And I will pay them, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries. You see, so pretty much he's saying he gonna pay, but it was the king that gave him the money to pay for it. It says, but he was willing to come out of his pocket, even though he didn't. He was willing to come out of his pocket to have this thing done, and to push this law into effect. That's why my Amshar said, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws. Why? Because he that controls the money controls the laws. Because these bastards that's up in Congress, they're corrupt. They're about making money, man. It says, and the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee. See, so he gave him the silver also. The people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. So he was given the charge, the money, the ring, the legislation to bring the persecution against the Israelites back then. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. So he had scribes, because you have to have somebody that scribe that out. They'll sit down. They'll have a brainstorm of a particular law. Then you have to have those that are good in writing, with good diction, write it down, put it all together. And now it becomes an act first, and then eventually when it passes to Congress, it becomes a law. But back then, you didn't have a Congress, because the king's word was it. It says, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants. So who was the one that passed the legislation? It was Haman. But he got the power from the king Ahasuerus, the Persian. And he got scribes to write down this particular letter, which was an actual law that was signed by the king. That's why it says, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's get that real quick. Yeah, man. Let's get that real quick. Isaiah chapter 10. Salaki, I'm just being a little silly. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. These unrighteous decrees, or these unrighteous laws, the Lord said, woe unto them that make these unrighteous laws. So we're reading about a situation here where this devil made an unrighteous decree, because Mordecai would not bow to him. And rightly so. Because we're not to bow to anything or anybody but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It says, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. And these are grievous things that they prescribe. They'll give an individual life if you know, they can give him life if they consider him to say something that's hate speech. And hate speech could be anything. You could tell the truth and it could be hate speech. Like when we say you so-called Jews are not Israelites, you know, they're Edomites, that could be considered hate speech by these devils. And it's the truth. Am I becoming your enemy because I tell you the truth? To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people. And that's what they're doing. And this is why them gutter rats are all up in Jersey trying to push Jake out of there. Straight up gentrification by force. And then they wonder why they're having problems. Because you could push a dog or a rat into a corner long enough. Eventually that rat or that dog or whatever it is going to come fighting them. What's the word I'm looking for? The defense mechanism is going to come out. You know, and Jake's been being kicked in the ass their whole life here, going back to their ancestors, you know, just dealing with Judah alone. So what do you think is going to happen? You push them too far. You know? And this is what's happening right now. You know, out there in that situation with Jersey. But they'll make it seem like the Amalekites are the ones that are suffering the persecution. When they're being the ones they're the ones that's persecuting. Same thing out there in the land of Israel, the Palestinians. They're persecuting the Palestinians, but then screaming about anti-Semitism and self-defense. But nobody else can claim that but them. That shit fucking pisses you off when you think about it. That widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's all they're doing. Widows are their prey because you have women out there that have lost their husbands. And the fatherless, you know, they're trying to take everything from them. Because Jake, when's the last time you had a Jake that really has some substance to where they can leave to their children and their children be well off? Not very many. So let's go back to Esther. All right, it says, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of the king Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. So there was an actual law put into the books in the form of a letter, which was a command. It says, and the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all the Jews. And these are the real Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which back then, it was really just the southern kingdom. That's why it keeps mentioning the word Jews. But today, it applies today also. Because who's the main ones that they're attacking? Judah, the so-called Negroes. Both young and old, little children and women, in one day. Even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for prey. And they're trying to take everything. And they don't give a damn if you're young, if you're old. You know, if you're a baby, they don't give a damn. They're heartless, soulless people. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out being hastened by the king's commandment. So pretty much they were making sure that this thing happened quickly. That's why these devils are moving with lightning speed, because they know that they have but a short time. And they're trying to do whatever they can to put us in that fucked up bind. Yeah, that's right. Like Elder Yashua says, soon the names YAHAWAH BAHASHAM al-Shai will be hate speech. And that's what they had. There was that video where, I guess it was down the street from the so-called shooting at the kosher deli. They had put up a sign that said YAHAWASHI is coming. And that's considered anti-Semitism. And somebody said, how is that considered anti-Semitism? They just put up there that YAHAWASHI is coming. But they did that on purpose. Because they know we're the only ones that speak in the name of YAHAWASHI. YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. So that's what they're doing. To bring accusations against us, to justify them rolling on us. But just like, you know, we read in Isaiah, when the enemy shall come in like the flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. So that's why the name of the lesson is, don't worry. The Lord will avenge us. Because at the end of the day, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM al-Shai, they know everything. They know what's going on. They see exactly what's taking place. They see exactly what these devils are doing. They're doing it in secret, but the Lord sees it openly. And the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. And you know the rest of the story, how Esther, brought the king and Haman to a banquet, and it was just them two. And then Haman went home and started bragging to his wife and his friends and his children, how he was, he was elated that day. And he was like, man, I'm the second in the kingdom. I'm the top dude, underneath the king. And the queen didn't ask for nobody else but the king and myself and this, that, and the other. But I'm just so pissed off because this Mordecai guy. So out of all those so-called accolades this devil had, he still wasn't satisfied. Because Mordecai was a thorn in his side. And he came there the second time, and then the queen made it known that who her people were, and that this devil was persecuting them. And what happened was, eventually, those gallows that was set up to kill Mordecai and the Israelites all throughout those provinces were used against Haman and his 10 sons, these Amalekites. So eventually, whatever they're doing is going to backfire on them. And that's why we celebrate something called Purim, which is the Feast of Lots. Because they were trying to put the lot to fall upon us, to destroy us, but the Lord turned it around and put it on them. So this is a prime example, for us today of a people that persecuted our people, that were put to death, in our stead. And the scriptures speak about that in the book of Proverbs, something along the lines of the wicked are ransom for the righteous, something like that. Let me see if I can find that. And I'm sure there's some in the Apocrypha too. There you go. Proverbs 21:18. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and a transgressor for the upright. So they're going to come in the stead and be destroyed in the stead of the Israelites. Kapar. The word kapar means price of a life, a ransom, a bribe. So they're going to be that ransom. They're going to be that ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. Because what is that? I think that's Job 22. Because all this shit these devils are doing is doing nothing more than sealing their fate more and more. Matter of fact, before I read this, let me just get this precept that popped up in my head, and then I'll come back to it. Job 22, and let's see. I'm not sure if it's the 22nd chapter. Right here, yeah, 22:19. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Because the Most High right now is sitting up in the heavens laughing at these devils, because they really think they're gonna do something. Psalms 2 and 4. Actually, let's go to the first verse. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? So these heathen are raging because they're acting like they're going to continually rule forever. And they think that they're going to destroy the people of the Lord. And even the sellouts, the sambos among Israel, and the people imagine a vain thing. And they imagine a vain thing. The sellout among Israel and even these other nations. They really think that they're going to crush the people of the Lord, and they're going to continue to rule forever. The kings of the earth that set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Because this is what's happening, what Haman is trying to do to Mordecai and the Israelites. And this is the same thing they're trying to do today. It says, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. So they're going to be held in derision. It says, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. So the Most High is going to put them in the stead. Whatever they're trying to do, the Lord is going to backfire on them. Psalms 37 and 13. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. Your day is coming, man. And that's a lesson right there. Your day is coming, E. So it says, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. Now let's go back to Proverbs. I'm sorry, not Proverbs. Did I say Proverbs? Yeah, I meant to go to Psalms. Psalm 7. Psalm 7 and 15. Wow. 14. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity. You know, when a woman is in travail, she's about to have that child. Well, they're travailing with iniquity. They got pregnant with iniquity. They got pregnant with wickedness. And until they cause it to happen, it's inside of them. It pains them. That's why I said they can't sleep unless they do some type of mischief. Because that's their spirit. That's their energy. Just like with us, you know, we don't feel right unless we do the right thing. But with them, they don't feel right unless they do the wrong thing. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity and hath conceived mischief. So they brought forth mischief. The baby that they bringing forth is mischief, which is what? This new world order, this one world government, this mark of the beast, which is the microchip, which is the final stage of their enterprise, which is going to fail miserably, and brought forth falsehood. See? And that's what they bring forth, falsehood, because all they could do is lie. They can't tell the truth to save their life. They were not created that way. They were not wired that way. It is not in their DNA. It is not in their makeup. So wake up. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made, because this same pit that they dug on this new world order, this new world agenda, this enterprise, is going to be their death. In other words, it's going to bring an end to their empire. You fucking with the wrong one, man. You can't play with YAHAWASHI and with his people. The Lord will deal with you, man. His mischief shall return upon his own head. So all this shit you see him doing is going to return upon their own head. And his violent dealings shall come down upon his own pate. That's why the Lord said, thus with violence shall great Babylon fall. Because the Most High is going to shake and rattle and roll this society, this kingdom. But all the prophecies, and eventually with those missiles and the lasers from the chariots, it's going to be a bloodbath. The Lord is going to have a bloodbath in America and certain parts of the world. Because this is the Lord's indignation. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of the Lord YAHAWASHI Most High. Why? Because when this devil goes down in the kingdom, we're going to be the ones that's going to have the upper hand. Psalms 58 and 10. The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance, because the Lord is the one that's going to revenge us. That's why it says give place unto vengeance, you know, because vengeance belongs unto the Lord. So the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance, and the Most High is going to be the one that brings that vengeance. Luke 18. Even Esau knows that wicked judge. Even he knows that. Luke 18 and 7. I started 6. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge saith, and shall not the Most High avenge his own elect? Let me get this other precept that just came to mind. No, that's not it. That's not it. Nope, that's not it. It's just bear with me 1 second. That's it. All right, beautiful. So go back. It says, and shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. So the Lord YAHAWASHI is going to avenge us. So all these guys that's doing this stupid bullshit, going to the shooting ranges, putting that shit up on YouTube, like there's some fucking commandos or some shit like that. That's ignorance. That's stupidity. And I believe some of them are paid off to do that, to try to make us look bad. But the Lord got our back. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? So let's go back. I'm sorry. Let's go forward, should I say, to 2 Thessalonians 1 and 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So the Lord is going to recompense tribulation to them that trouble us. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord YAHAWASHI shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, and flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that obeyed not the Most High, I'm sorry, that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord YAHAWASHI. So there's vengeance coming from the Lord Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI. He will avenge us. Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. So the elect will be protected, straight, good. Psalms the 91st chapter. So the Lord is the one that's going to avenge us. So let's go back to Psalms 58:10. The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He will wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. Because in the kingdom of heaven, we will wash our feet in the blood of the wicked. We will get our pound of flesh in the kingdom of heaven. Because the Lord said he will do it by the hand of his people Israel. It says, so that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Verily he is a power that judgeth in the earth. So the Most High is going to give us that power. Because we're going to have our rightful place restored to us on the earth. We're going to stand firm. We're going to have a kingdom. We're going to be royalty again. We're going to have slaves, as it's promised to us by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, as it was supposed to go down in the first place. And this is why Ezra said, Lord, you know, if we're supposed to have an inheritance with them, how come we're still under subjection under these nations? Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. We can end it with that. I had another precept here, but I'm gonna skip what I just quote. Yep, 6. Second Ezra 6:54. We'll just go to 54. It says, and after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen, which are who? The Israelites, the same people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which these Amalekites, these so-called Jews, are persecuting. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. So if the Lord made the world for our sakes, why are we suffering what we're suffering? Well, it goes back to the curses. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, and but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto the drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. And you see that happening every day. The dogs lick the sores. But excuse me. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And this is going to endure until the Lord comes back and sets us back up in our rightful place, you know. And then the Lord will give us these, and then we'll be able to kick these devils in the ass when the kingdom is established. Not before. So it's like the name of the title is, don't worry, the Lord will avenge us, you know. And we're at the point now where the Lord is going to step in pretty soon, because these devils are getting beside themselves. They're crossing the line, you know. So when they mount up that attack on us, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, will cause a standard or something to push them back and keep them back, you know. And we're waiting to see what that is. So with that, you know, I pray that you brothers have been edified. You know, the hell with this Christmas demonic spirit. You know, today's so-called Christmas. You know, I went to go wash some clothes, and I was mad because everything is closed and shit, you know. But, you know, with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say Shalawam. Day. So the elect will be protected, straight, good. Psalms the 91st chapter. So the Lord is the one that's going to avenge us. So let's go back to Psalms 58:10. The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He will wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. Because in the kingdom of heaven, we will wash our feet in the blood of the wicked. We will get our